Hello, everybody. It is Friday night, which means that we have another very special guest with us this evening. And this evening, I just can't believe it. We are so pleased to have T J Higgs with us this evening. Hello, TJ.
Hi, Ashley. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for coming and wanting to speak to us. So it's Friday night. Hello to everybody who's joining us. Hello, Paula. You are hot off the press, Paula. You must have been waiting by your computer for 6 o'clock. Thank you so much. So lovely to have you with us. Thank you for everybody that's coming and joining and on the live. Also, thank you to everybody who's watching this on the replay. Unfortunately, we won't have the benefit of your comments live coming in to the chat, but we do read all of the comments. So thank you so much for coming and being with us. Hello, lovely Linda. Hello, hope you're doing okay. Hello, Jan and Jane. Please do put on the chat where in the world you're from. We have people from all over the world, all over the UK that come and listen to this. So please do put on the chat where you're from. That'll be amazing. Okay.
Cool.
Super. Hello, Nikki. Hello, Valerie. So, ladies and gents, if you want to just sit, make yourself comfy. It's Friday night. We're going to be right back with TJ for some questions. So sit tight. Okay, thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you for everybody that has sent your questions in already this evening. Please do type your questions in and we'll be putting those to TJ live. So TJ, how has the whole lockdown thing been for you? What are you up to at the moment?
Well, I'm very lucky, obviously, because I can still work, but a lot of my students in America and in New Zealand were sort of, at me to put on online courses. And I was just, I'm not going to do that. I'm not. And so thanks to COVID-19, I am now doing all of that. And I have to say, I was very wary of it, to be honest, because I'm a very hands-on medium when I'm training, and I like to see my students and feel them. And I was really worried I wouldn't be able to give them the same kind of benefit of me, but actually it's worked out lovely. And if I get a chatty one, I can press the mute button. So that's always good. I like that power. But no, it's kind of just restructuring. Obviously, I was due to be in Japan. In fact, I think coming up in July, I was supposed to be back in America, New Zealand. Everything has kind of been put on hold, but it's quite nice just to stop for a minute as well. So yeah, I think I'm one of the lucky ones, really. Yeah.
Oh, that's good news. And I guess that's something that really resonated with me. I was lucky enough to be in a workshop with you, and actually it's really interesting that your persona when you're doing a show, when you're doing a big kind of production, you have really high energy, really fast, spirit coming in, multiple links, the big personalities. And it's really lovely for people that get the opportunity to see you working in a workshop or on a one-to-one, that you've got the time to spend with spirit to allow that relationship to come out. Yeah. So how do you kind of manage the different energy levels?
Well, as you say, I have a high energy, so I'm quite lucky. And even just, I had a circle this morning, my advanced group this morning, and I come off feeling very kind of high off of the energy, and I didn't think that would be able to feel like that, with my classes. I mean, with spirit, wow, they are so close. When I'm still doing my private readings, that's still gone on, but obviously on the phone, or now Zoom or Skype, all of those kind of those genres. But spirit just to feel very, very close right now, and I know a lot of people have been saying you can't connect to spirit, they're so far away at this time, and I'm like, you're crazy, because to me the energy is really high. The emotional energy for a lot of people, though, we have to really take care, especially, sensitive people. And I'm not just talking about spiritually sensitive. There's a lot of depression going on. So I'm very mindful of that. And I try and create a space where people feel safe,
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, really important to acknowledge that it's the energy feels very close and very present with us. And just keeping our feet on the ground, and being in the present moment, being very conscious of that. Thank you.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay, some amazing questions coming in. Thank you for everyone that sent in their questions ahead of time. But I must just name check Reverend Kevin Lee in the house, Fort Lauderdale. He's going to be our medium on Sunday for our Sunday service. He's asked a really interesting question. TJ, can he ask, what's the most important or amazing thing that Spirit has taught you? So what's the biggest thing they've taught you? Yeah, it's a great question.
Hi, Kevin. Hello. Nice to hear from you. We have a mutual friend, Darren Hembrough. So one day I'm going to get to Fort Lauderdale. Just haven't got there yet. What have they taught me? Wow. I think the most important thing that they've given, the gift that they've given to my family, if you like, is they've taken away the fear of death. So for my children, I feel that's a real gift. But my sons are grown-ups, but doing this work, it took away a fear of death. My son always talks about, when I'm gone, I'll still be around. He can still talk to me, or vice versa. So I think that in itself is something beautiful, but so many lessons, and I think I've learned a lot about people, and a lot about negative people, because we generally think a negative person is, it's all about us, and about, oh, they don't like me, and a lot of the time it's nothing to do with us, it's to do with their grief and their pain. So I've really learned to look at what would be deemed as a negative person. A lot of those people I've met, they're negative for a reason, and a lot of them I've worked with I work with a lot of families that have lost family members to murder, those kind of cases. I do those a lot privately. I don't really like to publicize what I'm doing. I think it's very private, but yeah, I've learned to really sense that negative isn't always negative, so I hope that's answered your question. Lovely, Kevin.
I think it has. I think he's loving that. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for that great question, which kind of leads us back to the beginning, really, and how you started. So back in the days of the satellite and the sky and all of those reality TVs, it's a different world now with everything being very digital, but that was kind of Psychic Private Eyes. That's where it all started, really, in that kind of investigation.
I used to be on a live TV show from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. doing live readings as well. So that was my first thing of live TV. And then I did I did Richard and Judy, I did The Extra Factor, I did that sort of stuff. And then Psychic Private Eyes, which I thought I was just going to be the guest medium. I didn't realise I got the job, and which was quite amazing, to work with, obviously Colin's gone now, but I would sit next to him when I first met him, and they were like, if Colin doesn't like you, you're off the show. And I was like, oh my God. And it's like no pressure, but we just clicked immediately, and we literally, he would start a sentence, I would finish it, and what a blessing. And some of the cases we worked on then, we have had results. We can't go public with a lot of, obviously the woman on the Titanic, that's historical, and the woman in the barrel, historical. Yeah. But some of the cases have been reopened and have been looked at. And a lot of people say, why don't you talk about things like that? And it's because it's none of my business. I've done my job, and it's up to those people, I believe, to talk about it publicly, not me to brag about what I've done. I've just been the messenger for Spirit, I'm not really into that sort of stuff,
Fantastic. And like you say, really healing for the families that are able to move on and get some closure. And it's kind of one of those parts of mediumistic work which maybe isn't thought about. And I know you said this before in a really beautiful way in a workshop I was in, that actually it's not just our relatives and grandparents that pass in a relatively peaceful way. Sometimes people really need a lot of healing when they come through, a lot of work to kind of reunite with the families passing in tragedy. So it's kind of an untapped thing.
I always think my duty of care, if you like, is to my living client, but also to the spirit world as well. And that's why I'm not really happy sometimes when people go on paranormal investigations, and it's, to me, I was invited to work for TV Asahi, which is Japanese, and I was with a Japanese film crew, and one of the crew was behaving in such a way as if he was almost like poking spirit with a stick, and I was not happy about, and I'm quite happy to say that I'm not happy about that. I just think people need to learn to respect. The spirit world is made up of people like us. We respect each other, therefore we should respect them, so yeah, it's one of my things, actually.
Yeah. Thank you. We've had another great question in from Paula Fry, which is really interesting. And it says, TJ, do you think we're evolving at a faster rate right now? And how will this affect us later on? So I'm assuming, Paula, that's kind of mediumistically how our mediumship is kind of revving up right now.
Yeah, I suppose technologically we are evolving a lot faster. I'm not sure as a human race we're evolving, to be honest. I think this COVID has kind of shown us that big time, how some people haven't taken a step forward. But spiritually, I think, especially when I'm teaching and we're talking about clairaudience, being able to hear spirit, that has kind of really disappeared now. It's all in the mind. It's all the thought. So when people say they can hear spirit, they're not hearing voices anymore. They're actually just being downloaded with the thoughts of spirit. So, but for me, Paula, spirit have always been very fast. That's why I don't kind of recommend meditation before you work with spirit, because you're slowing your energy down, and meditation is beautiful for your own soul. I personally don't do it. I haven't got the patience. I would rather sit in the power, listen to drums, and get my energy revving, So I think spirit are the planet, the world is moving faster. The spirit are already fast. I think we're just learning to catch up with them. A lot of the teachings is now kind of, I've been teaching no meditation for 20 years. And I think now it's all kind of catching up, it's becoming more modern, so, and affecting us later on. I would hope one day, Paula, you don't need somebody like me. That would be the goal, that you don't need me anymore, because you can trust your senses and your feelings, that your spirit family are okay, and that they're just a breath away at any time. That would be my dream for everybody. Yeah, I'd be out of a job, but there you go.
I think it's really, and you're very gracious with kind of your teaching, and it's a really, really big part of your whole spiritual work and your spiritual mission, really, isn't it? As well as the one-to-one work you do and everything we kind of know you for, but actually teaching is just such a passion. And bringing on mediums and giving them an opportunity to kind of go from circle to actually working independently. It's a big jump.
Yes, I teach all over the world. I had lost a little bit of heart with it, to be honest, about 4 years ago, and then I was invited to work in Japan, and my Japanese students gave me back all my energy and all my love and all my passion. And then I went to work in America, and I got the same there. And then I went to New Zealand, and in the meantime, I did gather a beautiful group of students, who I call my angels. They are TJ's angels, and I throw them out to work. When they're ready, I think they should be. They can come back. I run boot camps, for the ones that are already working. They can come back and have a refresher. But yeah, I'm not one of those teachers that wants to hold them back. It's like, I want to be proud of them. When I see they're doing things, I'm so excited for them. And there's nothing more pleasurable than watching, like, my little babies, we call them the cherubs, and I have a cherub circle. Yeah, I know, they're cherubs and they get to be angels. But the cherubs, and I taught them yesterday. I do two classes on a Thursday, AM and PM. And I put a message yesterday at the end of the day, and I just said to all my cherubs, you really brighten my day. And I really do mean that. Watching them get their first connections, and the excitement, the nervousness, it just takes me back to day one. And then it makes me, remember time and time again the beauty of spirit, the energy, my love of spirit. So yeah, you know, I'm very lucky. I've got such a beautiful group of people around me, and so many of them as well. I just thought maybe, you know, I'll have sort of 10 or 20, but I think I've got about 80 people in my circles at the moment. Not all at once, don't worry, in the classes. Yeah.
Amazing. There really is that a real need for teaching at the moment. So many people kind of yearning for more and education, and people that maybe have been interested in mediumship and been intuitive, but never really know how to hone it and harness it. All of a sudden now really looking for that opportunity, aren't they, to work?
Yeah. And I try and debunk some of the myths. You know, people are a little bit crazy about things, you know, and one of the things I say in Japan, because they're scared of what they use the word ghost. I don't use that word. And so I tell them to look around the room, you know, and look at everybody in the room. So, and my Japanese students are perfect because they do what I tell them. They don't argue, or if they're arguing, I can't understand. Anyway, my interpreter's not telling me that. So it's quite cool. But I say, look around the room, you know, look at everybody. Now, there might be a few people that make your energy go up or down, you know, which is life. But in the future, we are the spirit world. This is us, you know, so the spirit world is made up of everybody in the room. One day we'll all be over there. So do you need to be frightened? Do you need to be scared? You know, so I really try and keep it real with all my teaching as well. And if it doesn't make sense, it's not sense, you know, ignore it, you know. Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, you're very, very down to earth.
Me talking.
You might have more angels and cherubs by the end of this. Who knows? People are interested. So on that note, Jackie Gunningham from Chalmers, so hello, Jackie is in the house. She has asked the same question that I had already had sent in, which is, at what stage in your career did you know you had to take the stage or the platform for the first time? Because it's a real point of trepidation and nervousness, because it's all great in a circle and you all know everyone and you're really comfortable, and then all of a sudden you've got to go solo. How did that happen, and how did you know?
God, did I know? So I was in a circle, and then the circle leader left, and I joined another one, and I didn't like it. It was too dark. You know, they were all dark. Anyway, that's the only word I'm going to use. So I had a little chat when I used to sit, and I was told there's a particular saying that spirit give me, and I know that it's going to be all right. Okay. So I was given that saying for the first time. So it was basically start your own. And I'm thinking, I don't even know what I'm doing. But I used to turn up, and pretty much how I teach now, although I do know what I'm doing, I just let spirit guide me, you know. So I did all of that. And then I went, I was introduced to an agency, Esoteric Entertainment, and they got my work in Spirit and Destiny and those sort of shows, and then Destiny TV. But I would go on to Eileen Davis, a beautiful medium from the Arthur Findlay College. She is just, wow, isn't she amazing? I did 1 week with her, and I'd never stood on a platform. She blindfolded me and put me on this platform, and I thought, I'm not even a medium. I'm in the wrong room. Do you know, what are you doing? And spirit just, boom, this is what's happening. And she told me, go out there. Well, that was 4 years later. I then thought, I'm going to do it now, because I wanted to be in, if I was in that audience, I wanted to totally trust that medium. I wanted to know that it wasn't all nans with grey hair and soup and all that kind of nonsense, which I'd seen an awful lot of, you know, and I didn't want to work that way. So I was kind of working with my team, if you like, my spirit team, saying, this is what I want. And if you don't do that, I'm not doing it, because I'm not just going to stand there and talk about a generic old man, or, you know, I've got grey hair, but I'm not going to come back from spirit going, hi, I've got grey hair. Who gives a stuff? That's not me, is it? You know, I might say I've got weird eyes because they're weird, you know, and people all know me, but otherwise I don't really know how tall I am. That's not really my personality, you know. So yeah, I kind of wanted to make sure I was ready. So I booked a local hall here in Hertfordshire, and just put it in the paper, a little tiny advert. Well, it sold out overnight, and I was like, you know, and it wasn't free. I charged for it, you know, so it wasn't free. Well, the hall was, you know, expensive hall. So yeah, and then I was like, wow, you know, but I ended up on stage, if you like, because of Colin. We did Private Eyes, and then he said, well, we had it was a really annoying day. Like we all agreed, all three of us agreed. We were in a cemetery in Cardiff for the day, doing all the cutaways for the you know, and all that stuff. And it was cold, it was miserable, we had to wear these horrible coats, we didn't really want to be you know, so after we're having a drink afterwards in the hotel, and Colin's got a glass, I'll never forget, he had a glass of red wine, and he just leant back and went, "You're coming on tour with me, darling." And I was like, he's obviously had too much to drink. I don't do the platform stuff, you know, I love the one-to-ones, but I didn't do that. And then the rest is history. I became part of the Best of British tour. I think my first audience was like 2,500 people, and I was sort of like, yeah, you know, no pressure. And I used to cry. Honestly, I used to cry at the side of the stage and have my makeup there, because I'm like, I'm not even a medium. What am I doing here? Do you know? And then the minute spirit step in, it was sort of like, I don't do that anymore, by the way. But because I'm thinking, backstage, you're listening to Tony Stockwell and Colin Fry, you know, the Best of British, and then there's this girl that comes on, you know, sort of like, hello, you know. So yeah, I was a bit. First probably year, I was like, oh my god, but they were, and then I went on to do the 3 mediums with Derek as well, bless him. Yeah. And that was pretty cool. That was pretty amazing in itself, you know, doing live telly with it, you know, being filmed with them too as well. I'm like, oh my god, you know, what am I doing here, you know? So yeah, I've just been really lucky. I never wanted to be famous, and I don't like that word anyway. I never wanted to be a celebrity medium, and I don't like that either, you know, because I always think there are people out there, you know, and excuse that fly. That was a phenomenon, if anyone saw that. It's a fly.
It's an orb.
It's an orb. I know, but you might get that later. It's an orb with TJ. No, it's a fly. So I forgot what I was saying now, but I never wanted to be known. No, that's fine. Just me, it's my brain. But you know, a lot of people are, I want to be famous. I want to be. I never did. I never set out to do that. You know, so it took me a few years. Sorry, Jackie, going on and on there, baby. But I wanted to make sure it was right. I didn't want to just throw myself out there and let spirit down. You know, forget about you know, not just my audience, but spirit, because I wanted it to be right, you know. Yeah, sorry. How long have we got?
As long as you've got that's really
sorry, darling.
Really yeah. So we kind of all need to have our very own Colin Fry or somebody just a bit of a sometimes. I find it really interesting that you just had so much real trepidation and anxiety, because do you know what, it doesn't come across when you're in that energy, and when you're with spirit, it really doesn't come across at all.
Yeah, no,
just
not anymore. Yeah, it was the terror at the beginning, and I think, and you know, doing live TV and stuff didn't bother me. It didn't faze me at all. But being fit for 3 mediums, you know, when it was Colin and Derek, and you know, my parents were in the audience, my boyfriend at the time was there was celebrities in the middle, and you know, all of that I could cope with, but they made me wear this bloody horrible dress, and I didn't feel like me. Do you know, I felt sort of. In fact, I had a joke with one of the backstage before that, because they were sending us on with these big lights, you know, we were having spotlights on us. And I just said, you need to take me to I'm in the wrong theatre. And he was like, what's she talking about? I was like, look, I'm Nancy from Oliver, because that's how I felt. I felt like I was dressed like that. Oh. And he just went, she's nuts, you know.
Can we get some wardrobe here?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I got it was interesting. I can't remember his name, the guy in The Sun who's a critic, you know, and he had to go at Derek and Colin for their mediumship and said I looked fat in my dress. So I sent him, I was grateful. I sent him a lovely email saying, thank you so much. I totally agree. I hated the dress, but you didn't like diss my mediumship. So my mediumship was obviously all right. He only had to go about the boys, not me. So I don't think he was expecting a nice little email from me.
No, good for you. Good for you. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, you must like that bit.
Yeah. Sock it to him.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Yes. Thank you. I think that did answer. Yeah, Jackie said that did answer her question. Thank you. Oh,
Thank
Alice
you,
has popped on. Alice Emily, I'm saying that she's very lucky to have you. Very lucky. Yeah,
I can see a few of my lovely angels are there. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, a lot of people saying, there's a real yearning for teaching, a lot of real yearning to kind of learn a little bit more. I find it really interesting that you describe yourself as a psychic medium. Can you explain what that is, because I know you're really kind of not into the labels or calling yourself a spiritualist or anything else. You're really not into that. How would you describe your own kind of faith or approach?
Yeah. It's like I don't ever have anything saying I'm an international medium or anything like that. And my angels actually, no, they took the mickey out of me because they were like, well, you're global, darling, because you go all over the world. But I don't, you know, I don't do that. I don't do that. I'm just me. But I'm always honest, because I'm a psychic and I'm a medium. And a lot of people, you know, a lot of the old school kind of, if you say you're psychic, you're just a fortune teller that reads tarot cards, you know, which is not true. Psychic, as you know, is to read the soul. So when I'm working with live living people, I'm working on their soul. So I'm psychically reading them. But when I'm working with spirit as a medium, I'm also psychically reading them, because I'm going into their soul and their energy and reading that, you know. So it's a soul to soul connection, you see. So, and a lot of people are like, oh, psychic, we don't like that. But every medium is psychic, whether they like it or not. But not every psychic is a medium. That's the truth of it, you know. So yeah, and I'm not saying they couldn't be, but they don't need to be. You know, you can do a psychic reading without any spirit at all, you know. So yeah, I'm not good at labels. Yes.
It's really interesting, and it's really refreshing. And in fact, we had Colin on last week. He was talking about kind of his experiences with kind of native indigenous peoples, and actually they don't really describe my mediumship the way that we do. They don't see mediumship as being something that's the preserve of the spiritualists or kind of whatever. They see mediumship as just being, like you said, communicating with your ancestors and talking soul to soul.
Yeah. I have a beautiful friend, Chief Black Fox. He's a relative of Sitting Bull. I met him in America. He is amazing, and he is the same. That's what he's like, you know. And the thing is, I remember being on stage somewhere. I can't remember where in the world. In England somewhere. And they asked me a question, because in my book True Spirit, I talk about I'm not religious. And this lady put her hand up and she said, but you must be a spiritualist. So I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not religious at all. She's like, but you can't be a medium, because unless you're a spiritualist, you can't be a medium. And I was like, I'm sorry, love, but I can be, because I am. And I'm not a spirit. I do believe that religion has its purpose. Absolutely. It can be very comforting, but I'm kind of a little bit like Switzerland, you know, because people from all different, you know, denominations of religion will talk to me. So, you know, I have clients that are, you know, ranging Muslim, Jew, all sorts, you know, Christians, the ones that come and they don't want anyone to know they've come to see me, you know. So I don't agree that I have to have a label, you know. So yeah, and spirit don't seem to mind. So until now.
I remember, it's really interesting, isn't it, that, like you say, you kind of people feel welcome and really welcomed when they come into your energy, and actually it really feels like all are welcome, both in spirit, to come and talk to you, and it doesn't matter what their view of this was when they were on the earth, and actually they're happy to come through and talk. And it's really interesting that your whole kind of energy and your background contributes towards that, and kind of makes people feel comfortable.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you so much. Yeah, I just try and, you know, everybody's welcome in my classes. You know, I've taught probably a lot of what would be deemed as misfits, because they don't fit into the box, you know, that you're supposed to, you know, you can't be all. I have in fact, he's having an operation today. So lots of love to you, Chris. If you met Chris, he's an ex-soldier. He's tattooed all, you know, he's got a little beer belly, Chris, I said, not a big one. And, you know, you look at him and you would never imagine that he would, you know, you know, imagine the old Twin Set and Pole set.
Yeah.
Look at him and go, oh my God, you can't be a medium. And he's a fantastic medium. And so is his lovely wife. Oh, we went a bit funny then. Yeah, his wife Sheila is also a great medium. So spirit will work with you depending on your vocabulary and your past. So everybody has a role to play, I think, for spirit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we've got a little bit. It's everyone seeing us kind of.
Is everyone, hopefully the picture's okay. It's fine from my end, but hopefully it's all okay from your end. But it's the gods of Zoom and the internet. And it's Friday night. Everyone's doing their virtual online quizzes with their family. Yeah.
Yeah. My family are not allowed on at all. They're banned while I'm on this. So
Absolutely.
sorry, I hope you got all of that.
I think we did. Thank you. So there's been some really interesting questions coming on, just really exploring a bit more about that possibility that does everyone have the ability to connect with spirit? That's been asked by Colleen Mitchum and Teresa Spires Mann, have both asked. Does everyone have that ability?
We can all sense and feel. You always, you always think there might be somebody there. Do you know, you can be sat, can't you, quite comfortably at home and think, is somebody there? And what you do with your mediumship, you train it, you train your energy to grow so you can actually have confidence really in the fact that spirit are there. And I'm not a believer in you need to be, the seventh son of the seventh son or born under a particular moon to be able to connect to spirit. I think the best mediums, I believe, in my belief, are the ones that have literally, been to hell and back. If you've had pain in your life, I think that makes you a better medium, because I always tell my lovely students, embrace your pain, embrace what you've been through in your life, and help others with it. I think that's what I do. So if you've had a perfect life and nothing untoward's happened, if you've only lost your nan and she was 95, and had a good life and stuff, and you haven't experienced pain, it would be more difficult, I believe, to connect to spirit. But they're not going to walk past you. If who have we got? There's a lovely lady there. So Cynthia says, I really want to dedicate my time and my life to spirit, and I want to help people. Spirit aren't going to walk past and say, "Oh, Cynthia, I think you were born under the wrong moon," so you're not right. But there are differences. I'm what they would call a natural medium. I was born like this, so I can't escape it, but sometimes it lays dormant in other people until the pain has hit, but I would like to believe that there would be a world where we could all do it. I really do think that. And I think there was a world like that in the past, for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. What a lovely thought.
Sorry,
and maybe in the future.
Definitely.
Lovely
yes.
Question. Thank you so much. And thank you for everybody that's joining. Don't worry. You say, I'm sorry, I'm late, I'm just joining. Don't worry. You can watch the beginning of this on catch up. So none of these gems and pearls of wisdom will be missed. So if you've got any questions for TJ, please make sure you put them in the chat box so we can pick them up and I will get to them. If we don't get to them live, then I will go back and I read all of your comments and will do my very best. There's a really interesting question on here, which is is it? We've had the lockdown one. Where is it? Oh goodness. You'll have to type it again. I can't remember.
There's so many. There's quite a lot of conversations. Yeah.
Really interesting question that I will try and find out. So just kind of going back to the very beginning, and you say that you're a natural medium. How does somebody recognize what they're experiencing is from spirit, especially if it's something that's just coming to them very intuitively? How do they recognize that? And how do they start having that conversation with spirit?
Yeah, when you're very young, you don't know, because being very young, I just thought people were crazy. My uncles used to sit on my pops, so I used to scream because get off my pops. They obviously couldn't see him sitting on the chair like I could. So and I think as I got older, I learned to kind of not say too much, because it became sort of like I was a bit weird, the senses that I had, the things I could see, and I kind of used to freak my ex-husband out a little bit by things, and it used to cause problems actually, because my ex-husband was in the military, and the job he was doing, he should have been in an office. He shouldn't have been outside of his office, but I could see him doing things. We lived in Northern Ireland, so in the time of the Troubles, and I could see him out of his office, and I used to say, have you been in a helicopter today? And he'd be like, I've been in my office, and I used to think, you're a liar, so it kind of caused a few problems, because he had to lie to me, he was all the time, so it can cause trouble, it can cause problems. And when people lie to me, it's kind of like they light up, and I'm sort of thinking, why are you doing that? Why are you disrespecting me? So yeah, it's kind of it's always been there. I think it was when I was about 26, I kind of started to take it a bit more seriously and thought maybe there's something in this. And I was going to go and become a teacher. I thought I knew I had to be a teacher. I knew I had to understand children. I knew I had to understand colour. And now all my teaching and every job I've done all makes perfect sense, because they were preparing me for what I was going to be able to do, you know. So yeah, I just think I took it seriously when I got to sort of 26 to 30, you know, because I used to read people and freak them out, you know, and sometimes I'd read them and I shouldn't have been reading them. So especially when you're in a nightclub and you're getting chatted up. So don't think your wife would like that. And then they kind of go a bit, yeah, exactly. They white and then I'd describe her, then they'd run, you know, so
brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. So sorry.
You need to get you a t-shirt, one of these I See Dead people t-shirts to wear when you go out. Yeah, amazing.
I've got one. Have you
got one of those?
Yeah, I have one. It says I bought them and was selling them at my events, and it says I see dead people and then ... and on the back all the time. So yeah, we were selling them because we were raising money for charity at one of my events. Maybe I should do it again, Ash. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's amazing. Dear. Thank you. Yeah, I should imagine that probably did cause some real problems actually, and you blew out of the water many years of cover stories, I should imagine. Oh my goodness. Okay. So there's an interesting question here, which is from Michelle, that says, when you're working, I'm going to paraphrase it, when you're working or holding an event and spirit want to get your attention, how do you deal with that? And this is a really common thing, isn't it, for people just starting out, when it feels like they're open all the time. And I was talking to someone in Tesco's. Yeah. How do you, when you're not working, how do you deal with
okay. Well,
when you're not on?
Right. I'm very strict, Michelle. Yeah, I'm very strict. I don't open up and I don't close down. I don't. When I'm working, I'm putting my intention out to spirit. You can talk to me right now, you know. So when I'm teaching, you can talk to me. Michelle has been to some of my events, and I am, you know, normally running around teaching or then making sure all my lovely guests are happy. Spirit know not to do that. They know not to do that with me, because it's almost like your mobile going, you know, you can look at your phone, can't you, think, I haven't got time to speak to you right now, so you wouldn't answer it. So I literally am that disciplined. I won't answer. I won't talk to them. So they don't bother. They know my rule. I set that intention very, very clearly. And I don't, you know, if I'm having my nails done, I'm not giving a reading to the girl in the nail salon, as much as they're always after, what can you see? What can you see? It's like, I can see the colour pink, paint my nails. You know, that's all they're going to get. Unless it's absolutely imperative that they get a message, which a couple of times I have had that, but I don't show it off. It's not a trick, you know. I'm not a trick pony. I'm very dedicated and disciplined with my work, so they don't talk to me or I'll ignore them. It's very much so. Yeah, boundaries people. Amazing. Totally.
Thank you. Yeah,
definitely.
Thank you so
yeah.
Hello, Michelle, and thank you for your question. That was amazing. Thank you. Lovely Paula, who's a really dedicated visitor and workshop goer. And I think actually she went to your workshop that you did in Dorset many years ago. She's really talking about something that you mention a lot in your workshops, about building this vocabulary of spirit, and how best to do that, especially when you're starting to work mystically.
Okay. She's do I find it helpful to, if you read my book, you'll find that I do watch soaps now, because quite a few years ago now, I used to work in a real, you know, in a boring job. No, not boring, you know, I used to do my accounts all week, and then on Saturday I could go and do my spirit work, you know, so I'd have a day of readings, and on the Friday I was quite exhausted, and Neighbours was on the television, and I just, you know, when you're so tired, you just sitting there and you don't even know what's going on really. And this whole program was all about there was a girl there singing all about Hello Dolly, and the guy behind the bar, Lou Carpenter, and it was all about him and, you know, obviously Australia and this Hello Dolly. And then the next day I went in to do my readings, and the first lady sat down in front of me, and then behind her there was this very old-fashioned lady with a big fur hat on, almost like dressed for winter. And she was singing Hello Dolly really loud to me. And I was like, oh, this rings a bell. That was last night in Neighbours. And then she showed me a poster. and she was talking about the stage show. So her aunt had been on a stage show of Hello Dolly. Well, it got weirder the whole day, and one of my clients that day, and she's spoken about it publicly, and it is in my book. Her mum came in, and I said to her, you know, your mum is showing me a scene in Neighbours that I was watching last night, and she keeps showing me the guy behind the bar, Lou Carpenter, and anyway, she never said a word. And I was like, well, I just think your mum must have a thing about the guy, you know, and I'm trying to remember his name, and then it was like Tom Oliver, you know, and then she just was like, he's my ex. And I was like, what, you know, and they have a child together. That is, and I can see your face. That was my face. I'm like, oh my God, you know, so she's obviously got a bee in her bonnet about him because he's your ex-partner. So yeah. And then all day, then the rest of the day was all about people from Australia. And there was a sad story about somebody in a swimming pool and a passing, but all day it was all based on that. So from then on, I will watch, or I will record, I nearly said tape then, showing the age. I'll record any death that's going on in the soaps, you know, and I will record them. And then I'll watch them, you know, at a certain time. I don't have time to watch all the soaps, but Neighbours I kind of make time for. And I actually know Cheryl Ferguson, who plays Hev, you know, played Big Hev in EastEnders.
Yeah,
She's such a beautiful lady.
Oh,
she's
wow.
gorgeous. Well, I watched her death, and I was speaking to her about this. She came to one of my shows, and I didn't know she was there, and we became good friends from there. And I said, "You're my evidence as Hev," and she was like, "My name's Cheryl." I was like, "No, I know, but I watched you die in EastEnders, and then a couple of weeks later, I was on stage, and I'm seeing that be replayed in my mind, and that unfortunately was how the young man in this case had passed. He was hit on the head. It was accidental. It was by a friend, somebody he knew. So, you know, yeah, vocabulary, Paula, I am massive on that. You know, my angels will tell you, you know, I'm constantly on their case to read books as well. I you know, you all know I did Psychic Private Eyes. One of the cases there was about a deserter in World War I, and I'd been given the book Birdsong by Sebastian Faulks just about a month before that. And I'm you know, I really enjoyed the book. I enjoyed it kind of for the war part as well, not just the love story. You know, everyone says it's a love story. Yeah, I remember the war bit. And obviously that's what I needed, because we were taken to Boulogne, never given any information on those stories, I promise you. And I'm standing there and they're filming me. And then I've got this man, and I felt there were lice on my clothes. It was like the pages of the books. Yeah, sorry, make you itch. No, it was like the book was being typed to me, and I was like, this is Birdsong. What's going on? You know, and that was the story. It was there's a part of that, as you probably know if you've read it, about a deserter, and they were talking about that. And I even went to Ypres and saw and got to have the experience of where he was imprisoned and then where he was shot, which was not nice, I can tell you. But the evidence came from me reading that book. You know, that was it. Read a book and you've got the evidence. You know, simple stuff.
And what's already in there, what's already in your kind of your subconscious, your conscious mind, what you know. Yeah, great question. Thank you very much, Paula.
I do believe if it hasn't. Sorry, I was just going to say, I do believe if it hasn't gone in your head, it can't come out of your mouth, you know, because if you haven't seen it, experienced it or felt it, they can't give it to you, you know, and that's why the bigger, the better. The bigger your vocab, the better, you know. Sorry to interrupt you, Ashley.
That's what you can all do, everyone. While you're sat at lockdown, just get on those Netflix box sets and just watch as many kind of cultural references as you can. Thank you.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah, I must say hello to Hannah. I haven't seen you for years, Hannah. Hello, lovely to have you on here. She's talking about music in her mediumship as that's starting to unfold. But the thing I want to focus on really is her 10-year-old son is developing a gift, and how can she support him as a mum with a very sensitive little one, a 10-year-old?
Right. Okay. Still very young, so I'm not a big kind of advocate on pushing them into development in a big way, because he's got to go through puberty first, and if you push them too fast, puberty and this work can mess them up, you know. And you know, my son is very sensitive as well. I mean, he's 28 now, but very, very sensitive. So just listen to what he's got to say. But one of the things I would absolutely you know, sort of say to you, Hannah, is help him understand his energy, help him to protect his energy. And I'm not talking about from spirit. I'm talking about from the living people. You know, I do actually have a worksheet on that. If you would like to send me an email or email me through Ashley, I'm quite happy to send that to your son. And I teach that an awful lot as well, you know, because some people are walking about with their energy so big. You know, if you've got a big energy like me, you know, you could stand in the middle of a room and at least 40 people could walk into your energy. You know, that's a lot of emotions. And being a young man, you know, being a young boy there at school, he's going to have lots of people's emotions. So, and being sensitive, he might go to school very happy and one of his friends might come in very angry. Then he'll get angry, or then he'll get emotional. If something's going on in someone else's home, he'll feel all of those things. So I think for young people, teach them how to let go of their energy, how to release energy, and how to keep their energy, you know, centers in. That would be the best thing, I believe, you know.
Amazing. Yeah, really, really brilliant. In fact, for any parent, because children don't, you know, we need to teach children this, because we've been through our lives and never had the benefit, and we're learning now about it. And actually that's a fantastic answer. Thank you so much. Hopefully that answered.
Yeah, I would also, on the point of children as well, which may relate to Hannah also, is children are very good at knowing what colours they need on their energy, you know, on their bodies for their aura. So sometimes, you know, if you've got a child and you think, oh my word, that doesn't match, how can I take you out like that? You know, get over yourself, because that child knows what it needs. And it's kind of like, you know, really kind of building its own auric field. And also those of you that have got sensitive children that want to dress from head to toe in black, do not worry, because black dispels negativity. It releases negativity. So those, you know, there was a lot of children called the emo, you know, again, a label, I hate it, but called emos, you know, bless their hearts. They were protecting themselves. So by parents saying, no, you need to wear it. No, mum, I need to wear the black, because they knew that black would dispel, whether they knew it consciously or not, you know, not necessarily, but their energy field knew what it needed. Okay. So if your kids want to dress like rainbows, let them, you know, if they want to dress in black, let them. Okay.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Hopefully that was really helpful, Hannah. And actually for anyone who has children they look after, children in their lives, and you've identified that they're sensitive or kind of aware of energy and people, that's some super top tip there. Thank you so much for that. There's some questions coming in about guides, TJ, and I know this is always a hot topic. It's always like the number one question of guides, because I think at the moment we all want to know we've got somebody in our corner. What's your kind of thoughts on guides? How we contact them, how we find out who they are?
Yes, I never give a guide away. So I never tell somebody who their guides are, because I had to work really hard for mine. So I'm not giving it away. But I worked, obviously, you know, I worked with Tony and I worked with Colin, Stockwell and Fry. Okay, so sounds like a show, doesn't it? Stockwell and Fry. But those guys, they both had different opinions and on reincarnation and all this. So I thought, well, I need to ask my sensible guide, who is called Luke. And he showed me all the guides that I already had identified and I knew that were working with me. And all those guides had my eyes. And what Luke was showing me was my guides are a part of me. So my guides, for me, I totally believe, are part of my past lives. So they've all learned so much, and now it's my turn to do, you know, it's like I'm the team member that's presented now in the world. And I really do believe in that, because and it made sense, because I'm a bit of a control freak, as most mediums are. And I've got a lot of male guides, and I'm like, I'm really letting all these blokes tell me what to do, you know, and but it definitely made sense when he said they were all a part of me. They were all a part of my soul, if you like, my soul's journey. So I think it's very personal to connect to your guides. I'm not always very good at plugging myself, but I do have on iTunes a CD called Reunited. So a download, that's the right word, isn't it? It's called Reunited. And that reunites you with your spirit guides. So it takes you on a journey. It won't tell you who they are. You're going to have to work that out for yourself. And totem animals. And also on there, you get to connect with your loved ones as well. So I did it for family members too, because everyone's like, put the guide CD out. And I was like, well, what about the people that not really bothered about guides and all that stuff? They just want to have a connection with a family member, you know. So if you want to check that out, it's T J Higgs on iTunes somewhere.
Fantastic.
Good plug.
We'll put a link to your website underneath in the chat. I'll stick that one in there for all of the gems and kind of where you are, what you're up to, what's the training programs. I think you've probably got a million people now want to be angels or cherubs. Actually, the cherub is quite popular. We'll put that all on the chat.
Yes,
thank you
they're
so much.
They're all on my website. Yeah.
Lovely, thank you.
Good at that.
There's a question from Debbie. Lovely Debbie is another one of our absolutely beautiful circle, who's asked a question that comes up quite a lot actually for people that are developing. And why is it that she doesn't hear from people who have been in the spirit world for a long time? Why have they not come through yet? Yeah.
Okay, it needs to be the right medium. That's what you need to find, Debbie. You need to, and sometimes spirit will not. Me personally, when I'm gone, there's no point my kids sitting in an audience because I'm not coming through like that. I'm going to want them to sit with a medium so I can have a good chat with them, so I can really feel them and be back with them, and vice versa. So, and also the medium, we were talking about vocabulary. You need to find a medium with your vocabulary, Debbie. Do you know, it's a lot of the time when I first started, I couldn't get very quiet people, do you know, on stage. I'm talking in private, I could, because I'm too fast for them. But now I know where to look for them. Do you know, they kind of wait at my water table. So I did a reading for and the lady has now gone back to spirit, I just recently found, but she brought all her family for a family reading with me, and her husband had passed, other members of the family, and then right at the end I said, oh, you've got a package for me, or you've got something you want to give me? So she was like, yeah. I said, well, this man's showing me you've got his things. And well, I think she nearly passed out, and she gave me this brown sort of package. It reminds me of like World War, do you know, World War II, when they wrapped everything in string and that. And it was her brother, and he came through clear as a bell. He'd been gone for 52 years, and I got to be the privilege to be the first medium that he'd communicated with. And I think he just waited for also someone to be honest, because he did walk away from the family, so it was very difficult. It wasn't just a hi, it's your brother, you know. So you also need a medium that's going to be honest. And I'm not saying that mediums set out to be dishonest, but some people don't like to say the negative stuff, you know, and we don't always have perfect lives, you know. People I as you know, I work a lot with murder cases and things, and sometimes the people are saying, I put myself in that situation. Parents don't always want to know that if that's their child, but it's my job to tell the truth, you know. So find a medium, my lovely Debbie, that's like you, do you know, and think, oh, I'd like to have a cup of tea with her, or a cup of tea with him, or something. Oh no, a cup of tea or a gin or something. But stick to the tea. It's very more sensible. But yeah, so if you find somebody like that you'd want to have a chat with, then you know your family members would want to have a chat with. You know, that's my advice anyway. Yeah,
that's really good advice. Thank you. And it kind of leads into another question. I think Phil Anderson, which is, why is it that some people will say they've been to all the mediums? They've been to all of the mediums and no one can read me. I think there's probably a few answers to this actually, but it leads really into that not every medium will be the right fit for that recipient and for spirit.
Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, I've had people that I remember sometimes it is down to the client. I had somebody once that she came with her friend. She came upstairs and I started reading. And she's like, no. Unless I make a psychic link with my client in my reading room, I won't read them because I don't know how they feel. I don't know what's going on. No. So I said, well, perhaps because you're with your friend, I'm picking up on her. So perhaps I've got my wires crossed. Let's swap. She can come upstairs. So we swap over. I was I got it wrong, because everything I just said to your friend, and she said no, but we worked together, so that's exactly right. So I was then, okay, let's do your reading, my lovely. Went downstairs and I just said to her, so everything but I don't want to know about that. I haven't come for that. So I was like, well, I'm very sorry, but you know, you might have wasted your time coming here, but I'm not going to waste my time reading for you, because you obviously haven't got the right attitude, you know, so, and the right energy for me. And I did also spiritually work with a beautiful lady. There was 2 women, didn't know they were related. I was in my reading room, so I didn't even see them arrive. The first one came in and she got her mum and dad, and you know, it was all lovely. And I just said, there's someone else, but I can't get there. And I'll always be honest, you know, I'm not going to make stuff up. I just can't get there. So so she went, no, thank you, that was very nice. Anyway, the next lady, younger, comes in, and I was like, oh, so there's a man. I said, oh, I thought this man was for that last lady. You know, she never said a word. And I was like, he's your dad, and all this information for this beautiful girl. And she said that lady was my mum. Now, he did not speak to me while the mum was in the room, but as soon as the daughter, I was like, oh, because I'm thinking this man was already here, you know, didn't realize they were mother and daughter. So so sometimes they're not ready. He wasn't ready to talk to his wife, but he found it easier to talk to his daughter, you know. So they're real people, remember, aren't they? You know, they're like us. So yeah,
absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We've got time for one last question. I'm really sorry. So one last question. I'm really sorry, everybody, if you've not had a chance to have your questions answered. We can't go through all of them, but thank you everyone that sent in a question. The one question is, and it kind of leads into that, which is when you're doing a really big dem, how does spirit choose who they come to? Because we've probably all asked that. Please can I have a message? How do they choose?
I think usually on my evenings, you know, when I sometimes make notes on what I've said, you know, just in case I'm going to write about it in the future. But I think I can only speak for myself. My evenings seem to have a range of people that come through, you know. So, and if in the audience there would be a range of people again, wouldn't there? So I think if there's a dad that didn't get to say goodbye, there's probably, and I talked to, you know, say Mary, there could be 10 other people in that room that also didn't get to say goodbye. And Mary's dad is the spokesperson for them, you know. So it's like, well, Mary's dad's all right, so they might think, okay, my dad's okay. So it's kind of like a cross section of the population. And because really, when we're demonstrating on a platform or on a stage, our job is, well, I believe my job is to give evidence that life continues, you know, and that, not proof. I don't do proof at all. I give evidence. So I think they're just trying to show everybody in the room, including how I term the muggles, the ones that sit there like, this is nonsense. And then at the end, they're like, you're a weird woman, aren't you? You know, it's like, yeah, I came in not believing all this. Now I don't know. And then that's my job done, because they're thinking about it, you know, they're thinking about it. So I just think spirit know what's going to happen, you know, and know, when I was working in New Zealand, the country is obviously north and south, and they're very different people. North and south are very different people. And there was like I think my first evening out, there was like 8 cows running around, spirit cows, obviously not live ones. And that kind of started my tour of New Zealand off, and it kind of just got weirder as I went on. But I think because it's like earthy, rooty people, you know, were getting their cows, and then, you know, like going more into Auckland, they were getting more of the, you know, more of the different kind of genre of people. So I just think it depends where you are as well. Really does depend. And if up north, I'm a southerner, as you can definitely tell, I'm from London, but I do prefer, sorry everybody, when I go north of the country, the people are just warmer, you know. And if I work in this, I was working in a southern theatre one night, and that nobody spoke. It was like they were like this. So I was like, okay, so it's yours. Well, yes, it's mine. Why didn't you say? Don't want to. You know, you go up north and you say you got a dad, and they're like, yeah, it could be mine. You know, everyone kind of they're just more up for it. I don't know why. I just love working. So if you're northern, thank you very much. And if you're southern, loosen up.
Yeah, if you're southern, come on. Come on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, Dawn's come on to say Black Country the best. Well, you're probably going to start a bit of a turf war there, Dawn. I'm not sure we can get into that, but yeah. Thank you so much, TJ. Just amazing answers. And for anyone that's seen TJ work and seen the kind of the shows and the demonstrations, actually it's the teaching behind that. And I absolutely, you know, TJ said you've got to have lived the life and done the work in order to do the mediumship. It kind of comes part and parcel. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
So much love for you this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for joining us. Yeah, they're so cool. Thank you very much for your questions and taking time to listen. Thank you. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to put TJ's website, www.tjhiggs.com. Nice, easy one to remember. I'm going to put that in the chat.
Yeah.
Everything that TJ's up to is in that. So thank you, everybody that's joined us. Thank you for your question. And next Friday, we are going to be doing a trance special, and that's a trance with Mark Stone. It's been hotly anticipated. We've been talking about it for a long time. It's going to be everything you want to know 101 about starting in trance. That's going to be next Friday. We are going to let you go, TJ. Thank you. You're a busy lady. And thank you so much for sharing an hour with us for this little masterclass. It's been wonderful to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ashley. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening.
Everybody.
Thank
See you
you.
later. Good
Bye-bye.
evening.
Bye-bye. Stay safe.